Recently, I, 39 female, lost my husband, 41 male, of 8 years. And it was a huge blow to everyone who loved him, most of all, me. We had been together for almost 12 years, and my husband and I had the most wonderful time together. Then, a couple of years ago, he started falling really sick, and soon he was diagnosed with leukemia. After that, it all went downhill, and unfortunately, in spite of the treatment he received, his condition only kept deteriorating. We tried our best, but we couldn't save him, and a few months ago, he breathed his last. But until the very last minute, I was with him. I was by his side, and I will always be grateful for that opportunity, at the very least. We never had any children, and since I'm a working woman, I have enough money to handle myself. And these two reasons combined, his mother thinks it's very unfair that he chose to leave everything behind for me. He did have a significant amount of savings set aside in case of emergencies and maybe if we had kids. So that came to me. In addition to that, all his other assets were also left to me. The only thing that my mother-in-law received was a vintage wristwatch, which she had given to him as a gift on his 18th birthday, and $5,000. She thinks that she has been snubbed, and she's not happy about it at all. She's been telling everybody that I had brainwashed my husband in his last days and forced him to go against her and leave everything to me instead. She's been claiming that I have been selfish because I don't need this kind of money, since I work and I don't even have any kids to support. And I agree with her. I don't need his money as well, but I think it's right that he has left all to me because of certain things that she had said and done in his last few days when he was in a very dire state. I think whatever she was trying to do in his last 2 days was disgusting, and I think my husband made the right choice by leaving her. Only the watch and $5,000, and oh, of course, a note stating his undying thankfulness for everything that she had done for him in the past, and said that he would never be able to repay her. And as her son, he didn't even want to insult her by trying. She probably doesn't think much of that note, but I think it is very telling. I think he was being sarcastic and satirical, which is his nature. And I will explain to you guys exactly what makes me think that he didn't genuinely mean whatever he said in that note. And he was probably just exaggerating. But she didn't pick up on it. Basically, let me start by telling you guys that my husband and my mother-in-law had always had a very rocky relationship. They never really got along, and when my husband lost his father to a stroke, he had to drop out of college at 21 so that he would be able to support himself and his mother, and he ended up working 2 jobs, but nothing was ever good enough for his mother. She hardly ever made any effort to find her work for herself. And the only thing that she would do was complain about whatever little money was being brought home by her son and constantly just pick faults. She herself had always been a stay-at-home mom, but I think that if she had tried, she would have been able to help out with the money. And even if that was not possible, the least that she could have done was to understand and respect the fact that her son was doing his best, and demotivating him by constantly criticizing his efforts to bring home some money so that they would have something extra in addition to whatever his father had left, and was not the way to go. But she never acknowledged that. She was constantly just cribbing about everything, and I remember my husband telling me how difficult it was for him until he finally moved out after applying for a student loan so he could go back to college. But he still continued working, and he would set aside some money for himself, as little as he possibly could, and would send the rest of it back home to his mother. And yet she would still complain about everything and he would just have to put up with it. Eventually, it did get better for him because after college, he was able to find better jobs that paid him decently. However, he still had to live quite frugally because his mother, in spite of how much he would insist and request her, would never look for a job herself, and she would turn it around on him and say that he was being ungrateful, saying that she had raised him, she had done her duty, it was not possible for her to go out looking for work at this age, which didn't even make sense because she was not even that old. But anyway, because he was the only source of support she had, he couldn't argue with her, and regardless of how irritating and inconsiderate she could be, he continued to support her until the very end. Even until now, he had been sending her money, and if she had any brains at all, she would have been saving money, but apparently she hadn't been doing that, and in his last day, she had been trying to convince him to leave her more money than me, because technically she would need more than I would, since now she genuinely was too old to go looking out for work, and she had exhausted whatever her husband had left for her long ago, and had been relying on him for money for the past many years now. So she couldn't change that. And to make it more convincing, she kept reminding him that she was the one who had raised him single-handedly, which is simply not true, because his father had always been a very active parent as well. Besides, he was 21 when he lost his dad, so naturally, in his formative childhood, his father had always been there, so she was not really a single mom, because he was pretty much an adult by the time he lost his other parent. And additionally, let's not forget whatever I told him about how she behaved with him after he lost his father. Things were already tough for him. She knew that. But instead of making it easier on him by trying to look for work for herself, trying to support herself, or at the very least, choosing to be content and happy with whatever her son was doing for her, she chose to be resentful and constantly complain about everything that he tried to do, and stressed him out even more. Things could have been much easier if she had just tried to make them that way. But she actively made them worse for him, and on top of that, she had the audacity to try and convince him that he needed to leave everything to her, especially when she knew that he was suffering and wouldn't be here for long. I mean, I really can't imagine a mother behaving like this, especially when it's her only child who's going to lose their life. Even in a state like that, her biggest concern was the money and how she was going to lead her life after her son was gone. It was disgusting. My husband never really spoke to me in depth about it, especially in his last few years, because we were always trying to keep things light and breezy, but he had shared bits and pieces of it. So I knew about it, and I knew that he was not happy about it, even though he didn't talk about it excessively or anything. And I knew him well enough to figure out the real meaning behind his actions. So I knew that if he had left everything to me and not much to her, there must have been a reason behind it. I personally believe that the reason was that he knew he had done enough for his mother, and now, whether she needed him to do more or not was none of his concern, especially when she had shown to him time and again that she couldn't care less about him on a personal level. She only cared about what he could do for her. So, as he was leaving, this was his way of showing his mother that he was done with her, and that she needed to stop being such a selfish and narcissistic person. And that's why I have no intention of helping her out at all. And that's why she's upset with me, because she thinks that I'm being selfish by hoarding everything my husband has left to me, in spite of not needing it as badly as she does. And I don't see anything wrong with what I'm doing, to be honest. And I have a couple of issues with whatever she's doing right now. The first one being that she is talking to everybody else apart from me about the situation at hand. I mean, where does she think that's going to get her? because I like and respect the rest of the family, but I don't think I care about their opinion that much that I'm going to change my decision based on whether they like me for what I'm doing or not. And besides, I don't think that if I start telling people the truth, which I'm even inevitably going to have to do, they're going to like my mother-in-law that much anymore, because her truth is going to be exposed and everyone's going to find out exactly why she did not receive anything, because she was the gold digger in reality. Right now, I haven't told anyone because I'm still grieving, since it's only been a couple of months since I lost my husband. But she has been running her mouth about me all over town, and a few people have reached out to me to try and understand why I'm doing this, and even though I have not responded yet, I'm obviously going to tell them at some point, and then it's going to backfire on her because she's just been telling people half of the truth. She's been trying to portray herself as the victim, which she isn't, at least not in my opinion. My second and bigger issue with her is the fact that for so many years she had been relying on my husband for money, and he had been judiciously doing his duty. So how come she has not managed to save up anything, knowing that this couldn't go on forever? Because let's be real, a long time has passed since he had been diagnosed, and since we needed to save money for his treatment and the out-of-pocket expenses that our medical insurance wouldn't cover, he had to cut down on the money that he was sending his mom every month. So obviously, she knew this arrangement couldn't last. Naturally, she would have had to think of something for the future because his health had been failing for quite a while. If she didn't, then it's obviously her own fault, and she has no right to blame either me or her son for whatever has been done, because it's her own oversight that has landed her in this trouble. She definitely does not deserve my sympathy, especially when she doesn't seem to have any for me. Personally, I don't think she deserves even a single penny from whatever my husband has left me, and I don't think I'm going to share anything with her. Of course, I have been feeling a bit guilty because I know that she probably doesn't have any other backup, since she was probably sure that her son was going to give him even this time, which he didn't. Things are going to be hard for her, I know that, but I don't think I can do anything about it, and I don't want to. Does that make me a bad person, especially considering the circumstances? AITA for not wanting to share the money my husband left me with my mother-in-law? Update 1. Thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post, and now I'm convinced I'm doing the right thing and that I don't have any reason to feel guilty. Besides, I'm pretty sure that my husband would have thought things through before doing anything. I'm pretty sure that this is exactly what he intended to do, and he did not make any mistakes. So I am just honoring whatever he had done, whatever he had decided for all of us. And I'm going to stick to my guns and my instincts, and I'm not going to have any contact or anything with my mother-in-law because I don't think it's required right now. I'm grieving. I'm still in a bad place mentally because of my husband's demise, and I don't have the mental capacity to deal with her nonsense at the moment. If she thinks that she can guilt trip me by talking about how I manipulated and brainwashed her son into doing something like this and make me look like the bad guy so that I get intimidated and eventually do things her way, then she's really wrong. Because right now, I might be a little weak emotionally and I might be vulnerable, but that does not mean I'm going to fall for these strategies. And I have made up my mind that I'm going to tell the truth to everybody because I think it's about time people found out what exactly she has been up to. And I think people should know that I'm not the one who had been manipulating and trying to brainwash my husband. I would never do something like that. Because I trust him, and more importantly, I love him more than anything else. To have done something so dirty and cheap. But I can't say the same for my mother-in-law because in spite of the fact that he was her only son. She valued his money and what he could do for her more than the person himself. In the end, I don't think that he could bring himself to forgive her for it. And I don't think that I will ever be able to forgive her for it, because it already must have caused him some pain in the end, when he was already going through so much. He never expressed it. He never let me know, because he did not want to make me feel worse than I was already feeling. He didn't want me to worry about him in addition to however much I already had to worry about. And in short, he wanted to make everything as smooth and easy for me as possible. So even in his last day, he was still thinking about me and being considerate. And honestly, I cannot imagine how a man like this was born to a woman like that. It's crazy. But anyway, that's not the point, because soon enough, people are going to find out how much of a pretense my mother-in-law has been putting up regarding her feelings about how the situation has turned out to be for her in the financial sense. Right now, I'm guessing that there's a lot of sympathy for her in the rest of the family. And if I was in their place, I would probably fall for the whole act too, because everyone knows that she used to rely on my husband for money. And my decision to keep it all to myself, even though we don't have any kids, would seem kind of selfish on this surface. But they don't know the whole truth, and they are about to find out now. Like I had said in my original post, some people had let me know what was being said about me, and they were trying to nudge me in the right direction without getting too involved in any of this, because I guess they were sympathetic towards me as well, since I had just lost my husband. So it was a delicate balancing act, and I think now is the time for me to respond, because I think I have waited enough. I have given myself enough space and time to think about what I'm doing, and now I'm sure of it. I don't know what the repercussions of this are going to be. I don't know what people are going to think of me after this, but to be very honest, I don't care either. I have already typed out a message that I'm going to send to the rest of the family, or maybe I'm just going to post it on social media if I like it. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with it, but anyway, the point is that while I was typing that message, I just felt nothing but relief. I was relieved that people were finally going to find out the truth, and whatever happens after that, I'm just going to deal with it as it comes, and I'm not going to stress myself out too much about it. After my husband had passed, I had promised myself that I was going to take it one day at a time, and that I was going to heal and not worry myself too much about the future, because honestly, you can do everything right and things can still go wrong. So there's no point in worrying and trying to make everything perfect all the time. So that's why I'm just going to do whatever feels right in the moment, and whatever happens, it will be dealt with. Update 2. Hey, so thank you so much for all the support in the comments section of my previous post. It really meant a lot to me and gave me a lot of confidence. So eventually, I decided to post whatever I had typed out on my social media so that it would go out to everybody at once, and I wouldn't have to send it to people individually. That would have been a little weird as well, so I just put it out there for people to read and whoever I wanted to believe it. They had the choice of believing me, and whoever did not want to believe it, they had the choice of ignoring that post. Luckily, it seems to me that a lot of people in the family are on my side here, and they have shown their support in the comments. I posted it about 3 hours ago, and my inbox has been flooded with people from the family telling me that they believe me, saying that they knew for the fact that my mother-in-law had been trying to paint herself as the villain, and she was definitely not telling people the whole truth. That there must have been something more to it, because I did not seem like the kind of person who would be so selfish. Besides, they knew my husband. They had always known him to be a very selfless, kind-hearted person, and for him to make that move, it just seemed very out of character for him to be so cold-hearted. So right from the beginning, when my mother had started trying to gain sympathy from other people, people had been having their doubts about the story and the validity of her claims regarding her son having been brainwashed by me, because everyone has met us both and they know that we are not the kind of people to do things like that. So they had been waiting for some statement like this to clear that out and everything before they could form an opinion about the situation. In fact, my mother-in-law had not only been telling people about this, but she had also been trying to get monetary help from them so she could hire a lawyer and try to question the validity of the will in a legal dispute. So she would be able to get something out of it at the very least. But before helping her out and committing to something like this, the family wanted to know what the reality of the situation was. And they did not want to pick sides preemptively. And I'm glad that they had made a decision like this. I'm glad that people had such a good opinion of me and my husband, because I think it just shows that if you're a good person, eventually it will pay off. Or at least that's what I choose to believe. It's a much less bleak alternative than the other. So anyway, I made the post and it seems like the family has come out in my support, so I'm quite overwhelmed and happy about it right now. But of course, there is so much positivity. There are some people who have to say something negative, and I'm not surprised about that. There are a few people in the family, mostly people closer to my mother-in-law, who have reached out to me and told me that they're very embarrassed and ashamed of my actions. Because speaking up about something like this is public and just shows how poor my upbringing has been. And the fact that I'm trying to paint my mother-in-law in such a terrible light in spite of the fact that she has just lost her own son just shows how heartless and cruel I am. And they don't believe a word of whatever I have said. I have been told that they know that I'm the gold digger here, and sure enough, everybody else will know as well, because nobody is a fool. And people will figure me out eventually, so this little damsel in distress act is not going to save me for long. They were very harsh about it, and clearly this was happening because of my mother-in-law's influence, since she had a problem with me. And now her friends or cronies had a problem with me as well. Well, they can believe whatever they choose to. I don't really care about them because, like I said, most of the family is on my side here. And I know that the truth is on my side here, which is of the highest importance to me. And it's very ironic and hypocritical of them to say that I'm being heartless by trying to make her look like the bad guy, when all I have done is just speak my side of the truth. And that's only because she has been trying to badmouth me first. What was I supposed to do? Sit down and not say anything while she ruined my reputation with her lies? Also, I have lost my husband too. And she had no qualms about throwing me under the bus, so why should I feel sorry for her? At least I feel like my loss was genuine. I didn't just want my husband to stick around so I could use him for his money, unlike some people. But anyway, that's just me. I don't expect everybody to understand it, least of all her and her friends, because they clearly don't have any sense of morals or ethics. So I really don't think that they would be interested in trying to see my perspective, and I don't expect something like this from them either. I'm happy enough that the sensible people from the family have chosen to be on my side, and that's more than I could have asked for or hoped for. Update 3. So it's been 2 days since I put my post on social media, and earlier today, my mother-in-law came up with a rebuttal. She has said that somebody out there has been trying to spread malicious lies about her and malign her image, clearly hinting at me. She also expressed her disappointment and tried to play the victim card by bringing up how she had just lost her son and was still mourning. Again, I had lost my husband too, and she didn't seem to have any problem coming after me in that kind of situation. She also said that she was going to try her best to put an end to my lies by coming after me legally, probably by trying to file a defamation lawsuit against me, Well, good luck with that, because I don't think I said anything untrue. And even if I did, she's going to require a lot of money to hire a lawyer, and I don't think that our friends are going to help her with that. The most that they can do is support her in the comments. But apart from that, I don't think that they're going to be willing to actually cough up money when it comes down to it. So honestly, I'm not scared. I can call her bluff and I can tell an empty threat when I see one. This is just her way of trying to intimidate me so that I take down my post and so that I try to talk to her and sort things out so that things don't escalate. But honestly, I'm not afraid of it. She is the one trying to take this further than it needs to go. She's the one who's not ready to drop it because she's desperate, and she's the one who cannot afford to let this go because she will be losing the most. I don't have anything to lose. I'm not afraid. And that's the biggest difference between the two of us. People have reached out to me once again to let me know that they are on my side and they don't believe her lies. They don't believe a word of whatever she has said in her post. And everyone has been very supportive in general. Honestly, that's all I need, because as long as I know that I'm doing the right thing, I don't have any problem with whatever is about to be thrown my way. And if I'm being quite frank, I'm pretty sure that this is just going to fizzle out in a couple of days, because she surely cannot afford to come after me with a lawyer. Truth is, she can't do anything about the situation now. She can just sit and crib about it, and I'm fine with that, because that's not going to do any real damage. It's not going to make a dent in my reputation and image, because I've already built it for myself. And I have done such a solid job of it, nobody can question my integrity and credibility because I'm not like her. That's my win there. I don't need anything else. Update 4. So hi everyone, it's been a month since my previous update, and like I said, exactly what I had expected would happen has happened. For the past 2 weeks, my mother-in-law had been posting against me relentlessly. She was doing quite a good job of trying to turn the tide and convince people she was some long-suffering victim. People might have even believed her, but unfortunately, people knew me too well to think that she was telling the truth. Because if she was telling the truth, then I was lying. And these people might have had sympathy for her, but I'm pretty sure that nobody questioned my honesty. So what happened in the end? It just fizzled out. She didn't end up being able to do anything at all because nobody had to come to her rescue like she had expected. Nobody had offered to pay for her expenses. Nobody had offered to save her from all of this, and eventually she just had to give up. She even deactivated her account, and all her friends have been blaming me for her, saying that she's very upset about everything that's been going on and that I'm the one responsible and I'm going to face my karma. Well, I can't wait for that to happen, because unlike them, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be facing good karma, and the consequences of whatever I've done are surely not going to be bad, because I know for a fact that I did not do anything wrong. So they can try and scare me all they want. It's not going to work. I know I'm right, because this is what my husband wants. And that's really all that matters. Stay tuned for more stories from Our Girl Relationships.